If you like Rush Limbaugh, you swear by him. If you don't, you can't stand him. Rush said he'd like to buy the NFL St. Louis Rams. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, you may remember when Rush was working for ESPN, he made a comment about Donovan McNabb that some considered racist. Others thought race had nothing to do with it. Officially, he resigned, but many thought he was forced out by ESPN for this.
Donovan McNabb is regressing. He's going backwards. I'm sorry to say this, I don't think he's been that good from the get-go. I think what we've had here is a little social concern in the NFL. I think the media has been very desirous that a black quarterback do well. We're interested in black coaches and black quarterbacks doing well. I think there is a little hope invested in McNabb, and he got a lot of credit for the performance of this team that he really didn't deserve.
NFL players have been outspoken about not wanting Rush. Today, the commissioner said he strongly disagreed with what Rush said back then. The league doesn't like divisive comments. Basically, Rush has got no shot. Do you think Limbaugh's getting a fair shot here, Ron?
No, I don't. I'm no great fan, but who are the NFL owners? Who are the NFL players to talk about the morality of other people? Just ridiculous, the amount of drug abuse, of steroids, the kinds of owners. Georgia Frontier was no saint who owned the St. Louis Rams. I don't know what we're talking about when Limbaugh, for whatever you think about him, is a wealthy, reputable citizen. He's got a drug problem of his own, but it's not the end of the world that Rush Limbaugh should own a football team. Al Davis does, and he's hardly a nice citizen.
Deborah?
Yeah, I get a chance to be feisty with Ron. I completely disagree. And here's why I disagree. You know, I feel like Rush Limbaugh there's other agendas, and there's a possible agenda. There's political agendas. I think there are agendas that we have yet to see if someone like him owns a team.
What could his, Deborah, let me jump in. What could his political agenda be if he owned the team?
You know what? I can't say. I can't say, but Rush Limbaugh, being an outspoken person the way he is, at times, yes, his comments can be seen as divisive. And in that situation, Ron, here's where I disagree. Yes, a lot of NFL players have moral issues. Absolutely. We've seen a number of them get arrested. We've seen a number of them with handguns. We've seen a number of them drinking problems, infidelity. I get that. But that's a human condition. That's a human problem. We all take something of that on in ourselves. But when it comes to race, that is a whole different issue. And I think that issue for me, I know that I got my hackles up when I heard it initially. I absolutely did, because it was a racial issue. Absolutely it was.
I think that's fair to call it a racial issue, but I'm willing to bet you there's a lot of owners who are really a lot more racist than Rush Limbaugh.
Right, but the difference is, Ron, they already own teams.
Oh, so it's okay to own teams and can be
it's absolutely
Rush
not.
Limbaugh's public.
No,
they don't
it's
have
absolutely
to
not. I'm just
company.
saying the reality is they already own teams. I'm just saying what the reality is. Is it all right? Absolutely not. But the fact is they already own teams.
I think it would be fun to see all of his plays going to the right anyway, don't you think?
No. And I say that with a smile.
Ron, I'm going to ask you a question, give you the last word. Were his remarks there racist?
I think it shows a racial consciousness, but it's an honest question of discussing whether black players, black coaches, the tremendous desire to have them in the game, to have them succeed, to see them be the champions. We've seen that happen. But the sensitivities on race are still very, very high, and we can hardly talk about race sometimes in any kind of honest and direct way without risking being called a racist. I don't know what was in Rush Limbaugh's heart, but the subject itself, Donovan McNabb, the way he's been treated in the press, all of that, it's a fair question by Rush Limbaugh, unless he's awfully conscious about race and wanted to push the point.
All right, let's move on now. You notice how some people are inflexible? The rule is the rule. There's never a gray area. A 6-year-old first grader brought his favorite Boy Scout camping tool to class, a pocket utensil that contained a knife, a fork, and a spoon. The school said that violated their ban on dangerous weapons. They suspended him. They want to put 6-year-old Zachary in a reform school for 45 days to punish him. Isn't there a gray area here, or is a rule, Deborah?
Actually, the gray area is much wider than we know. When we do things like that to our children, and any time a child is persecuted for something small that they don't understand, without a sense of understanding from an adult, it is persecution, and I take it personally, being that I'm a former teacher. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's a shame. I think the school board should be ashamed of themselves for doing it, especially knowing that there can be conversations between the school, the parents, liaison, and the community. I think it's absolutely a shame that they make rules black and white for children who don't seem to have an understanding and don't have a prerequisite to that understanding. Even the parents, even if I were a parent, I wouldn't have a prerequisite of that understanding, being that I would look at an object like that and say, I understand where it's coming from. You want to take it to school because it shows that you are a Boy Scout or a Cub Scout and you want to show this off. Absolutely, the discussion should be open and no door should ever be shut on a 6-year-old child to want to put him in a reform school for 45 days.
Ron?
Well, you know, when cops used to walk the beat, they could make a distinction between the people who were good, who might have made a mistake and looked the other way, and the people who were bad and dangerous all the time. We've lost those distinctions. We're not individualizing. It's true of how we treat the homeless. We're treating everybody with collectivist thinking. We're putting them in boxes. A 6-year-old, I mean, a black and white rule, how a teacher couldn't see the difference between, you know, a camping utensil for eating and a weapon, with knowing the kid who wasn't menacing. If you just read a little bit about the kid, he's incredibly bright for a 6-year-old. He wasn't doing anything wrong. I just think we've lost all sense of judgment
and loss of individuality.
Control our lives.
All right. I agree with you both there. Ron, Debra, nice job tonight. Appreciate it. Stay dry.
Oh,
thanks. You too.
Okay.